You ever have one of those days when peace and quiet vanish in an instant? That was me, standing beside my old green tractor, sipping coffee, when a shriek of tires tore through the calm like a gunshot. I turned just in time to see a white SUV fishtailing down the icy back road, spinning out of control. A second later, bam! It slid nose first into the ditch beside my property. I rushed over, heart pounding, half expecting an explosion. The driver's door burst open, and out stormed Karen, hair frazzled, sunglasses crooked, pure fury radiating from her face. "You!" she screamed, pointing at me as if I'd orchestrated the accident. "Your tractor scared me. I lost control because of you." Now, mind you, I was 20 feet off the road, parked, engine idling low. I hadn't moved in 10 minutes. Still, she stomped toward me like she owned the county. Behind her, her teenage son climbed out, phone in hand, already filming. "Mom, I told you. He pulled out too far," the kid yelled, glaring at me like I'd committed vehicular sabotage. I blinked, stunned. "Ma'am," I said slowly, "I haven't even been on the road." But Karen wasn't hearing it. Her voice rose, sharp and shrill. "My SUV's in the ditch, and you're paying for it." That was the moment I knew. This wasn't just an accident. It was the beginning of a storm. Before I could even respond, Karen's son was already circling me like a reporter at a crime scene. "So, what were you doing with that tractor?" he demanded, camera trained right on my face. His tone dripped with the smugness only a teenager defending his mom could muster. "I was grading my driveway," I replied calmly, nodding toward the gravel path. "Haven't been near the road." But logic didn't stand a chance against Karen's outrage. She stomped around the ditch, waving her arms like she was directing traffic. "Don't lie to me. I saw that tractor lurch forward. You distracted me, made me swerve." The irony was painful. Her SUV was still half buried in the snowbank, front bumper hanging like a loose tooth. I offered to call a tow truck, but she snapped, "Don't you dare! You've done enough." Meanwhile, a few curious neighbors started gathering along the fence line. Phones came out, whispers spread, and just like that, I realized this was turning into a full-blown neighborhood spectacle. Then Karen's son, still recording, shouted, "You're going viral, dude! My mom could have died because of your rusty old tractor." I took a deep breath, forcing a smile. "Son, I've lived here 30 years. That tractor's older than you. And smarter, too." Karen gasped like I'd slapped her. "How dare you!" I knew things were about to get ugly. The truth didn't matter anymore. This was now about pride, reputation, and one very loud woman with a camera. 10 minutes later, just when I thought things couldn't escalate further, the distant wail of sirens cut through the cold morning air. Karen straightened up like a stage actor hitting her cue. "Good," she said smugly. "Now you're really in trouble." The county sheriff's SUV pulled up, lights still flashing. Out stepped Sheriff Daniels, a tall, broad man with a calm face and a mustache that looked like it had seen everything twice. He'd known me for years. "Morning, Rick," he said slowly. "Heard we've got some kind of tractor incident." Karen jumped in before I could answer. "He nearly killed me," she shouted, pointing dramatically. "That thing," she jabbed her finger at my John Deere, "pulled out and made me crash. My son saw it. We have video proof." Her son nodded eagerly, showing the sheriff his phone. Daniels glanced at the screen for all of 3 seconds before raising an eyebrow. "Ma'am, this just shows your SUV skidding. I don't see the tractor moving at all." Karen blinked, caught off guard. Well, maybe he backed up after." She sputtered. Daniels turned to me. "You moved that tractor recently?" "Nope," I said, resting a hand on the fender. "Been parked right here since sunrise." The sheriff sighed, rubbing his temples. "All right. Let's get a tow truck down here before someone else ends up in the ditch." Karen wasn't done yet, but I could tell the tide was turning. The tow truck rumbled down the road, kicking up a cloud of dust as it approached. Karen crossed her arms, muttering about lawsuits and reckless farmers. Her son kept recording, though his enthusiasm had faded, probably realizing his viral clip wasn't going to make Mom look like the hero he'd hoped. Sheriff Daniels leaned against his cruiser, watching as the driver hooked up Karen's SUV. "You're lucky you hit that ditch." "Ma'am," he said calmly, "if you'd slid another 10 feet, you'd have been in the creek." Karen huffed. "I wouldn't have slid at all if he hadn't scared me." I raised a hand. "Ma'am, if it helps, I've got my own security cam on the barn. It records everything out front. Should we check it?" That shut her up. For a long, awkward moment, she said nothing. Her son looked at her, then at me, realizing what that meant. The sheriff chuckled softly. "That won't be necessary. Rick, I think we've all seen enough." He turned to Karen. "Ma'am, I'd advise against making false claims. Accidents happen, especially when folks drive too fast on ice." Her cheeks flushed red as the tow truck hauled her SUV out of the ditch. She didn't thank anyone. She just got in, slammed the door, and sped off, slower this time. I looked at the sheriff and grinned. "Guess my tractor's still innocent." He laughed. "Yeah, but something tells me Karen's not." If you enjoyed this wild little saga from the neighborhood, stick around. There's plenty more where that came from. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next Karen Chronicles, and give this one a thumbs up. If you've ever had a run-in with someone who just couldn't admit they were wrong, drop a comment below. What would you have done if Karen's SUV ended up in your ditch? I'm genuinely curious how you'd handle it.